All right, for more on this, I'm joined by Seth Shostak. He's a senior astronomer at the SETI Institute in Mountain View, California, and he joins us now. Seth, thank you very much for joining us. Now, I was taking a look at the Atacama Desert. You have less than a centimeter of rain a year, massive temperature swings between night and day. Why would you build a telescope in such a hostile environment?
Well, it's definitely not for the cuisine. But in fact, they're not building the telescope down in the flat desert floor, which, as you say, is one of the driest places on Earth. They're building it actually on the Andes mountain ranges that are near to the desert, because those are great places to build telescopes, and a lot of people have.
All right. What are scientists like you hoping to discover with the giant Magellan telescope?
Well, keep in mind that, I think we're living in an era of giant telescope building, because when I was a kid, it wasn't that long ago, the biggest telescope in the world was one here in California, the Palomar telescope. It had a mirror that was 5 meters across. The giant Magellan telescope has a mirror that's going to be 24 meters across. It's almost 5 times more in diameter, which means it's 25 times more powerful. And it's not the only big telescope being built down there in the Andes. There are 2 others that are even larger. What are they going to do? It isn't to look at stars up close. It's to understand what the universe is made of, because 95% of the universe is made up of stuff we don't even understand. We can't even see it. So that's one puzzle. And the other thing you can do is maybe look at some nearby stars that are known to have planets and see if any of those planets have, gases like oxygen or methane in their atmospheres that would tell us, hey, there's some biology there.
All right, so can you explain the magnitude of this project in terms of resources and expertise? I mean, what goes into building the world's largest telescope?
It's a big deal these days. 100 years ago, if you were just a private individual, you could fund the construction of the biggest telescope in the world. I mean, it wasn't that expensive. Certainly, individual universities could build telescopes that were the biggest around. That's no longer the case. Today's telescope costs billions, that's with a B, of dollars. So, even for a prestigious university, that's a lot of money. So these things are being built as collaborations between not only various organizations, but various countries. The Giant Magellan Telescope, yes, it's a US-led project, but also it has Australia, Brazil, Korea, and Chile all participating. They gotta share the cost of this thing. The way you build it is a lot different than the way you used to build it. In the old days, you'd have one big lens or one big mirror. But as you can see in this video, the Giant Magellan Telescope is made up of lots of individual mirrors that we can, kind of get to work together as a team.
All right, Seth, now I want to ask you finally, this is obviously bigger and badder than its predecessor, but what will Magellan be able to do that Hubble can't?
Well, Hubble is a relatively small telescope. I mean, it has the advantage of location. It's a couple of 100 miles up, so it's above the atmosphere. But the Giant Magellan Telescope collects so much light that it's the kind of instrument that could, for example, be able to see a planet around another star, and not only see it, but maybe determine if there's any life on that planet by looking for, as I said, oxygen in the atmosphere. You can't do that with Hubble.
All right, Seth, such a pleasure having you on. I really appreciate the analysis. Seth Shostak from SETI.